will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
On the Alegria Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? Well, I hope I should stop shouting, shouldn't I? It is Hump Day, and we're having a bit of a newsy Hump Day today. I'm a little bit concerned. It's a bit of a weird one this morning. Yes, I know. It's pretty much always weird in some way. However, second shower accident this morning. Yesterday, see that? I head-butted the mixer tap yesterday, taking the plug out of the bath. Long story, and a quick and efficient injury to the forehead resulting. Stepped into the shower this morning. There's only one thing worse than having a shower mat in the bath, or not having a shower mat in the bath, and that is having a shower mat that is not fixed to the bath. So it's like a skateboard. It's been a while since I've been on a skateboard, but I had a simulation of it as I stepped onto the unfastened shower mat this morning. I know cubicles in many ways are so much better, aren't they? A stand-up shower, but made for the purpose, definitely better. But the best jet in the house, so to speak, is the one that's in the bathtub. So I was in there again and skidded had a little bit of a three. No, it wasn't even a 180. It was about a 90-degree spin, and banged my calf, the other leg, not the forward leg, but the other leg on the side of the bath. Ow, still hurts a little bit. I seem to have something in my eye as well. Yes, what a crock, what an old crock this morning. Hope you're well. Yes, that's a good. That I have got a suction mat. Thank you for your concern. It has got little suckers on the bottom of it, and maybe time to stop showering. Yes, with the kitchen and the bathroom, the most dangerous rooms in the house, it's best not to go in there. Yes, ask anything about Portugal Wednesday with a little bit of Hump Day news today. Anything caught your eye in the news? It's a very newsy time, it would appear at the moment. With the one of my favourite headlines at the moment is Exodus from Lisbon as World Youth Day approaches. The Pope causing a different kind of exodus. Not that one, this one. Hundreds of Lisboetas plan their escapes as the Pope heads to town. 45 degrees in Athens. That's a headline, isn't it? My goodness, you're looking at 45 degrees later in Athens. Dougie, you're in fine fettle. It's true, Doug. I'm sure you couldn't have coped very well with a bit of impromptu skateboarding in the bathtub this morning. You've got to be looking after your pelvis, haven't you? Are you on the Elvis regime when it comes to healing your hips and recuperating and getting back into business? What's happening? I can imagine you having to watch some Elvis videos and gently swiveling your hips back into 100% condition. Let us know how that's going. Time to get that mildly stained cassock. What's that for? Will that protect me in the shower? Protect me in the shower from evil spirits, maybe, but I don't think it'll stop me falling over. Carl, the Herdad website who is this saying this? And so the Herdad de Mayo website is not working. I can report that to Bobby when he joins me later on. And perhaps given the wrong link. I hope I haven't. I wonder if you could tell me which link that is. Is it .pt? Is it .com? Because that's serious. Thank you very much. We can't have Herdad de Mayo going nowhere on us, can we? Building work there, 80 sustainable homes, of course, to be built on the site. I'm going to try .pt and see if that takes me anywhere. True, and I'll try .com as well now. Sorry for surfing, but that's a little bit of a concern. Yeah, all right. So that doesn't seem to be working. We can report that to Bobby when he gets here later on. It has been working in the last few days, I know, because I have been there. Just stop. Please don't stop showering. Okay. All right. You're not going to smell me in Ericeira. Movement of the Jar people. Okay, I wonder what that's about. This might be Brab from what I can see here. Northern soul dancing. Yeah, actually, yes, it would. I needed more talcum powder than water in there this morning. I see what you did there. Very good. Is that you, Brab? So I noticed we just celebrated 16 years of friendship on Facebook. It's quite amazing, mate. Good to see that, and a little bit shocked as well. So who's in? T Duck is in from 7:56 with a deep thought and a cane of beer, which I completely forgot about yesterday. So we'll definitely do those. We'll come back to those in just a moment. Talking about the Bukaki Forest. Yes, that was especially for you, Pete, in central Portugal. James was in at 8 o'clock. Bom dia, Gampas, Feliz Gata Todos. We've got a great couple of videos in from. Oh, that's good. We've got the doc who has shown up. He was MIA, and he's okay to join me at 9 o'clock. Bobby at 9:30, and Jackie, of course, the wonderful Jackie from Expats Portugal, will be with us in about. Let's have a look. 8 minutes, 7 minutes. It's just ticking by ever so fast. In the bottom corner of my screen there. Dad jokes as well. Do you know what? I might see how Jackie responds to a dad joke. I wonder if she likes them. So we can go with yours this morning, James. Thank you very much. Anna, lovely to see you here. Anna in Stockholm. Bon dia from Stockholm. 20 degrees of sun, cloudy, rainy summer most days here. Is that normal for a Stockholm summer? Thank you for your beautiful pictures from Stockholm this morning. You're such a good photographer, Anna, and here are a couple of pics from you this morning. Yeah, definitely watery and lovely big clear skies. Well, actually, I say big clear skies. There are clouds in them, but they're proper clouds, aren't they? None of this chemtrail business. They are proper childhood clouds right there, and that is a lovely vista. Stockholm is such a beautiful place, isn't it? And then a little bit more natural. I don't think that's far from where the first photograph was taken. A lovely, peaceful, quiet area. I think the Stockholmers, the Swedes, do love to get out into nature, don't they? Naked most of the time, as I understand it. Thank you very much. We'll be heading back to nature, Basako, in a little while. I want to make sure I definitely do the Cane Sabia and the deep thought of the day this morning. So, Brab, Dougie, Ian's in, Coach Turner, Joao Denot. Great, lovely call last night, Portugal club last night, John. Okay, having some difficulty with the proper Portuguese for hump. Solavanca. I wonder what you were getting at. Solavanca is more like bumpy, is the right word, corcunda. We've got to be a little bit careful with this. And you've got me coughing as well then, giggling. Okay, Pete's also in. Morning, Pete. Vision Portugal Dream. Love the name of your website. Exodus. That's the reference, isn't it? To the movement of the Jar people, the Bob Marley album of the same name. Hedadamayo.com should be working then. Cheers, Bobby. Have you got that to work? And we'll see you at 9:30. Yes, I've got numerous physiotherapy moves. He's got moves, to get on with. It'll be a while before I'm fit enough to be able to consider myself anywhere. Look, forget it, Doug. You never were normal. You won't be going back to normal. Forget it. Slow process, sadly. Well, just take it easy. Baby steps, as Phil would tell you. And you'll be out with him walking for Diabetes UK or something similar over these more than 1 million steps now. He's upgraded that, hasn't he? And he's doing really well. Incredible to find out about Phil's steps and his million for charity last Friday. Antonio F. also in. Suze, good morning to you. Cheers, Antonio F. For all you do. Those Portuguese sayings are just incredible. Edmundo Viegas is with us from the Algarve. How are you? How's it down there this morning, Edmundo? Lovely to see you here. And thought Exodus was just a Twitter reference. I think Twitter's going to be okay. He's so out there and so brave, really, in his thinking. I don't think he really cares what people are saying superficially at the crash site, as it were. He's got a long-term view, isn't he? Nubian also in, and Andy the Doc Thompson, who I was a little bit worried about, but he's here. Hola, bon dia, alegria de Leiria. Hola, bon dia, alegria de Leiria. Just limbering up with an elbow cough. I don't know what emoji that is with the elbow cough. Doc, long time no see. How's it hanging? Well, we'll find out. We shall ask him to bend over, take a deep breath, and see exactly how it's hanging when he joins us, turning the table on the dock. Never borrow a doctor's pen. A little bit of advice for you there. Deep thought, or a builder's flashlight, as we found out on Monday as well. Deep thought, advocating censoring someone instead of debating the merits of your argument is to admit your goal is not to expand knowledge, but to suppress it. Anonymous. We like that. I wonder who that was. We may never find out. Advocating censoring someone instead of debating the merits of your argument is to admit your goal is not to expand knowledge, but to suppress it. There's a lot of that about at the moment, isn't there? In this bonkers world of ours, where people get cancelled instead of having a conversation. Interesting. Thank you very much for that, T-Duck. Who wants a deep thought and a quesadilla jingle? I know I do. The Busaco Forest, Mato Nacional de Busaco, is an ancient walled arboretum in the central region of Portugal and home to one of the finest dendrological collections in Europe. Hopefully, we'll find out what that actually means in the subsequent messages here. I've been to the Busaco Forest. The Busaco Palace is there. It is amazing. Luso, the water company, are there. You can take water from the spring yourself there as well. And there is a sister hotel not far down the road, a bit further north at the Coria Palace, the Busaco Palace. If you can spend a night in each of those and enjoy the Busaco Forest, I don't think you'll be disappointed. They don't have air conditioning. However, as friends of ours found out wanting to stay there, or was it a heater? Whatever it is, they don't have anything like that. It is an ancient palace of a hotel, and you have to go with that in mind. It's a different kind of luxury. Anyway, the forest measures 1,450 meters by 950 meters and covers an area of 105 hectares. And let's have a look at some of the foliage, some of the dendrology in the background, shall we here? The perimeter wall is approximately 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles in circumference, and punctuated by a series of gates. Is this one of them? Yes, it is. I think it is, isn't it? And some beautiful work up there. I think it's created by monks, and I believe some of this is like a contemplative walk with little chapels along the way. And more than 250 tree and shrub species grow in the forest, including huge centenarians and exotics introduced by Portuguese mariners during the Age of Discovery. Isn't that amazing? They were out and about around the world. They saw a tree they didn't recognize. We'll have that, and we'll take it back to Busaco and see if it grows there. Forest was settled in the 6th century by friars from a Benedictine monastery. 500 years later, the bishops of Coimbra took possession of the forest. Well, thank you very much, Benedictine monks. We shall take it from here. I think we've got another picture to show you. You haven't seen this one yet, have you? This looks like Angkor Wat, doesn't it? This incredible staircase. Is that Busaco as well? That's amazing. When I went there, I didn't see that. So I must go back. It is incredible. It did take a bit of a battering many years ago, I believe, in a storm in the 90s, but largely untouched. And you will see some proper old mixed. I guess we can't call it native, given what we've just discovered. But there's an incredible diversity of tree species there that you might enjoy if you're a little bit fed up with just looking at eucalyptus. Apparently, Pathfinder think we haven't got enough pine trees. We might talk about that. Pine and eucalyptus trees. We might talk about that a little bit later on when we look at the news. Doc, what's caught your eye with the news? And I think Bobby's been in touch. The Herdad de Mayo site is absolutely fine. So that's weird, isn't it? But Herdad de Mayo seems to be fine. I'll put the link that works in case anyone wants to check that from their point of view. Because I'm sure Bobby will be delighted. Well, not delighted, but he needs to know, doesn't he, if it's not working for people elsewhere. That's the link that's just gone into the chat there. So finally, on the Busaco Forest, in 1628, the forest was donated to the order of Descalced Carmelites. What is a Descalced Carmelite? Sounds like a dessert. In 2004, Portugal submitted the Busaco Forest to UNESCO's tentative list of World Heritage Sites. It should certainly be in there. That's brilliant. Thank you for that, T-Duck. That's quite the staircase there, isn't it? Let's have a look at those photos again. We'll take that comment off the screen and what we're reading about there and just do the Busaco Forest complete justice here. Absolutely love it. Look at that. Very nice. That's how I remember it, a little wander around. And there's one of those gates. And there are little chapels along the way for quiet contemplation, just in case your higher self is calling you. Did you like that earlier on? Will you decline or will you accept? your higher self on the line. Let's go to, on that note of spiritual exaltation, let's give her a nice big round of applause. And welcome her to the screen. Good morning to you, Jackie. Hello.
Okay, I'm muted.
Oh,
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. I don't know if you've heard about the fires.
It was the first thing I was going to ask you about. So you are in Cascais, aren't you?
Yeah, and so this morning it was kind of overwhelming. We could smell it in the air. Our windows were open, so we really got a strong whiff of it.
Yikes.
But it seems that it's contained. So A5 is now open back and forth. So
they actually shut the road, did they?
Yeah, it was shut yesterday. But they say right now it's 70% contained, I believe. So,
crikey.
But the winds are so strong. We have such strong winds now that I think that's the real danger.
That would appear to be a terrible situation to be in once the fire gets started, when strong winds whip it up. That's why they had there yesterday. I need to share with people a couple of things, actually. Fire risk and also risk of drowning. I know it's a bit dim and dismal, but there is a record number of people drowned as well. Drownings in Portugal reach 18-year high. So we've got to be very careful. Maybe we've got a little bit complacent. I know that people are very vigilant about the fires, and this is the best resource to look at. But this is the blaze that you're talking about, isn't it? And I found out about this late last night, actually.
Yeah.
And looking at some of the footage on Twitter, it is totally terrifying. You know, the beautiful, when you drive through Cascais and you're going around the little roundabouts, and it's all very nice, ornamental, and the gardens and the verges are well taken care of. I saw one of those verges completely on fire as people are driving around the center of Cascais, it looked like.
I wasn't down. I live a little bit further away in Costa de Guia.
Yes.
So I live about a mile closer to Guincho from Cascais. So I haven't seen anything, but the smell is very strong here. I mean, the first thing we noticed when we woke up this morning.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think these are towns closer to the hospital by Alcabidesh. I think one of them starts with a Z, and they've evacuated. They said, I guess they've evacuated all the animals, and they've evacuated about 10 people. But nobody's lost lives. I mean, everyone survived so far.
So glad to hear that. Yeah, so glad to hear that. And look at this. I mean, I think even at the moment, there are hundreds of firefighters with their vehicles there. And I think, yesterday, this is what you can find out at fogwash.pt. It's really important, I think, that people have this to understand what's going on. It gives you a geolocation so you can see where you are and which places to avoid. Just stay away from this as best you can. And this particular blaze started yesterday.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, it happened so quickly as well, didn't it? Just before 5 o'clock yesterday.
Yeah, it was about 3 o'clock. Yeah, yesterday it started.
It was certainly reported by just 2 minutes to 5. Fire crews were dispatched soon after, within about 5 minutes, and it was full blast at 17:20 and resolved in the early hours of this morning at 3:38. But with hundreds of firefighters involved and even aircraft at the height of it. I saw quite a few aircraft in Twitter clips as well, because I guess they might have been scooping up water from the sea around there and trying to douse the blaze there. So fogwash.pt is where to find out about that. And of course, Jackie, they hadn't, with the winds that you described, they have to be careful it doesn't start again. I guess that's what they'll be concerned with, and that's why there are so many personnel on the ground there.
Absolutely. But one of the things we didn't realize yesterday late afternoon when the fires were starting is we kept hearing sirens.
Right.
And we're not native to Portugal. So we were trying to make sense out of the sirens yesterday afternoon. So we didn't even know what to make of them. It wasn't until much later that we realized that there was a fire, and that was the reason for the sirens. So.
Yeah, that could be a useful request this morning. I know a lot of people like to get their news from the Portugal Resident and the Portugal News, and obviously because they're English speaking or English writing news sources. But you're not going to see something. Generally speaking, you're not going to see these news flashes or emergency situations on either of those.
No.
So perhaps people could recommend this morning their favorite Portuguese news channels. I went to RTP here in Portugal, and there was good coverage there. So I don't know if you have a favorite news source here in Portugal. Do let us know, the Portuguese one, that is,
Yeah.
so that we can stay on top of things like this. Well, stay safe there, Jackie.
Yeah, no. I don't think it's actually a threat anymore. I think
Right.
it is 70% contained.
Good.
But it's so funny when things get close to where you live.
Yes.
That's when things get real, you know. I mean, we know that there were fires in Canada. We know, and this is nothing compared to that.
Yeah.
But it's when it becomes close to home that you go, "Oh, this is real. This."
It is. It's almost a paradox, isn't it? Is that whilst
Yeah.
I think some parts of the news covering agenda sensationalize these things, like we've got Coach Turner. He's in Greece at the moment, and you would think, and the way the news is reported, the world is on fire. Greece is on fire. They say these silly things, which are absolutely not true. You can be in Greece at the moment and not be affected by the fire, as you can be in Ukraine and not be affected directly by the war. It's very interesting, the view you get from the news. However, when you do find yourself opening your window in the morning like you did and smelling it, it becomes very real and a little bit scary. I know back in 2017 I had that same feeling, and in fact I evacuated my family as a result, just thinking, my mind going to the worst scenarios and thinking I got to get away from central Portugal and go to the sea. Thank goodness I did, and I now live here at San Martino de Porto, where we came. But when you smell it, when it's in your own senses,
Yeah.
it's pretty terrifying, isn't it?
It is, and it's interesting that you mentioned Ukraine. My son's girlfriend is from the Ukraine, and he says they have an apartment in Ukraine. He goes, she's going back next week to
Yep.
get to the dentist in Ukraine. And I remember thinking, what? It's a war zone. She's just going from Portugal. She lives also in Cascais, to the Ukraine to visit her dentist.
Yep.
And sometimes you really do forget that life does go on.
Yep, it does.
In any one of these situations, life goes on. And I remember finding that very shocking.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. It is interesting, isn't it, how things are reported and how they are. And of course, that's not to make light of anyone's situation when it's in their own experience, like it has been for you this morning. Yeah, so stay safe over there, Jackie. And everybody, please download the fogosh.pt, or either the app, or make sure you've got that bookmark so you can find out what's going on. On more positive news, Jackie, over at Expats Portugal, forthcoming attraction. I think have we had a late change?
We're doing Win Insurance, which I think is also great.
Oh yeah.
And I often think about insurance here. Well, one of the things that's great about Win Insurance is he is an insurance broker, and he really, really knows the market. So that's really what you're looking for an insurance broker. But personally, I actually came to this country because when my husband and I did the numbers, how much it would cost us for our insurance per year because of our ages, and we weren't eligible for Medicaid or Medicare, it was $25,000 a year for us.
What?
Yeah, and so that was a huge factor in moving here.
Good Lord.
And one of the great things about Win Insurance is that he really does match the insurance plan to the person, your age, your medical history.
Yeah.
And so he has a lot of new ideas, even about, I think one of his most recent idea is insurance as you age, so that, and this is, I think, relatively new in Portugal, that you buy insurance now so that, let's say when you're in your 90s, you could have in-home health care.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was great because I had never heard of that in this country. So beyond,
he's innovated that, hasn't he? And this is Nuno we're talking about here, isn't it? What's great about Nuno is insurance. However, when you're 90, he won't be coming around personally to tend to your domestic.
He might. He looks like he's in good shape, that guy. So
he might.
who knows?
Some
I
people.
think I'm going to hit 90 before him, or he's going to be in better shape. But you know, I was really impressed by that idea because I didn't even know that existed here. But also insurance here and why it's important. He's very clear about that. And I do consultations with Jerry for our premium members. And one of the things that really comes up always is, especially for Americans, because it's such a huge thing in the US
Yeah.
about health insurance. But one of the things he does talk about, two things that are really important. The reason you go, even if it's a resident, you get the public health system. But getting health insurance for a really relatively low cost puts you at the top of the queue. So not only you don't have to wait. Like we go to this restaurant in Sintra, and this guy's been limping for a year, and he's still waiting for that surgery. And my husband goes, "That's why we have insurance, because he's waiting for a year. If we're in the same situation, we don't have to wait. We just get our surgery, our knee surgery." And so those are some of the things to really think about. And also what we really love, and Jerry always talks about this, about health insurance in this country, is it's preventative.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the US, like here, they're really trying to, the US claims to be preventative. But if you look at how they do certain medical tests, it's really not. Here, you're going to get those medical tests, especially with insurance, before it's a problem. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons, I think, one of the most important reasons for private health insurance. You jump the queue. When you're in a hospital, you're not sharing a room with 12 people. You have your own room.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a big difference. It's a
Some people might like that, but no, I get your point.
Yeah, and I think he does a great job at matching people to what their needs are, and also getting you the best value.
And it's about the person, isn't it? It's person-centric insurance, and you know what? It probably isn't costing you 25 grand, is it, Jackie?
Oh gosh, no. I think for both of us, we pay less than €2,000 a year.
How about that? How about that? Yeah.
And interestingly enough, people think of the US because, so many things come out of the US, that the US would be rated higher in terms of healthcare. And the US is a huge place. So I happen to be living in Boston by all the Harvard teaching hospitals, but it's actually rated significantly lower than Portugal in terms of healthcare. Oh yeah, I think at the time 4 years ago, when I last looked, I think Portugal was rated between 12th and 17th internationally, and the US, this is 4 years ago, so that may have changed, was rated 35th.
Incredible, isn't it? Yeah. So maybe we should keep the noise down, because we're enjoying this, aren't we? I mean, to have your health insurance slashed from 25k to about 2 a year, and having a great life here in Portugal, living the dream, and one of those fantastic benefits of being here in Portugal. And of course, if you want to find out more, join us tomorrow evening. That's come round quick, isn't it, Jackie? It's the Expats Portugal webinar tomorrow evening at 7:30, followed by the Dream Team session, the rock and roll of migration to Portugal. We have such a fun time at 9 o'clock.
They really are. Those guys are tough.
Hey, rocking it.
Well, they always have the answer to everything. In fact, even yesterday we had an appointment with Christina from EI, and I think somebody from EI is usually there. And we have one of my sons, his is a little bit difficult, his, getting his visa, because everyone has a different issue. Good. And I was like, wow. She came out with plan A and plan B yesterday afternoon for us. So.
Yes, pow, casual, as we say here in Portugal. She's no nonsense, isn't she? And she's actually very American. Do you get that vibe from Christina?
From Christina?
Yeah.
I asked her about that. She says she watched a lot of TV. So I said, why did you have such a great, you barely have an accent. She's like, TV.
Yes, I would watch that show. Christina, migration professional, with some great theme music, and there she is solving the migration mystery one a week.
It's a big problem.
Yep. So we'll be in a company of EI, Gilda, most likely the Queen of the Visas tomorrow at 9, Nunu from 7:30. Find out everything you need to know about insurance. The website's settling in nicely. Any other news from Expats Portugal?
No, I guess Astrid is still enjoying her time in Australia. She's yeah, she's the one who used to do this with you. No, nothing. Our website is going through its changes, but looking great, I think. So no, we're just ambling along, and it's doing quite well.
Fantastic. Good to hear. Great to see you. You stay safe in Cascais. Actually, would you like to meet the dog? He's a bit of a legend.
Whose dog? Whose dog?
The dog. What's up, Doc? That kind of dog. I bet he's heard that before.
Oh, Doc.
Yes, give him. What did you? Was it my British accent that threw you?
Yeah, that's what he said. Okay, I have a New York accent. It took me years not to say dog. So I said dog. So how I hear the word, it may be very different. Dog? You didn't say dog.
I did not say dog. I know he wouldn't thank me for that. Let's bring him on now. Hey, everybody, it's the Doc.
Right.
Hey, come on, Doc. What's up, man?
Hi.
Let me just take this off the screen so you can see. That's a weird thing. It's like a party game. You've got to guess who it is. But let me just take it off the screen so you can see this. Doc, meet Jackie. Jackie, meet the Doc. He was a GP in the UK, Jackie.
Oh, wow.
Hola, Jackie. Tudo bem?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Speaks a bit of Portuguese as well. How are you? You look like you're a bit shaky there this morning, Doc.
Yeah, sorry, I'm holding my phone with my... That's probably better now. There we go.
So you're just pleased to see me.
Yeah, that's right. It's Hump Day. It's Hump Day, Carl. It's all the excitement.
Of course. And you said having only one hump day a week is a little bit of a ration that you think is a little bit stingy.
Well, you missed the verb to hump.
Right. Okay.
Because we were talking about the meaning of hump. Never mind.
Okay.
It's early yet.
It is early. We'll get there. We'll get there. And I know this time last year, you were able to see a pretty shocking blaze from your balcony, weren't you? And Jackie was talking about a similar thing in Cascais overnight. Everything quiet on the fire front, hopefully in Leiria this year, Doc?
Yeah, I haven't seen any local fires, touch wood. Yeah, not visible from here. So.
All right, brilliant. Okay, well, I'm glad you've met each other, Jackie. Have a. I know, unless there's anything you want to ask a British doctor. I don't know if you've ever been in this in this privileged position before. Ex-GP, Doc Thompson.
Well, actually, where do you live?
Where do I live? Oh, I live in Leiria.
Leiria,
which is yeah. If you don't know it, it's about an hour and a half drive north of Lisbon, about 20 kilometers in from the coast.
And that's where you've retired to, the beautiful mountains of Portugal?
Well, yeah, we're not quite in the mountains, but yes, we are retired to the beautiful country of Portugal. I do love the mountains, but I love the sea as well. So halfway in between suits me fine.
I feel very lucky. I could get on a train in 30 minutes. I'm in Lisbon.
Yeah, I'm not such a fan of Lisbon, but I'm very close to Coimbra, which is gorgeous. Yeah, Lisbon's all right for a day trip, but yeah, well, that's okay. It's horses for courses. Yeah, Portugal's got everything.
But Lisbon is a vibrant city, and I have kids in their early 20s, and my son finally said, "I think I've had enough." I think it's Bairro. Is that how you say Bairro Alto, where all the drinking is?
Yeah.
From the Teatro. He was coming home at with his friends visiting 2-3 a.m. He's like, it's too much. He's partying too hard. And my son's 23, so he could really party.
That's
but
amazing.
But you see, these Gen Zers can't take it. I mean, I remember going out till that time of the morning, 5 or 6 days in a row, and then going to work at 8, you know?
Yeah,
God,
that's what
that sounds horrible.
Oh, Jackie, that's what made the British Health Service great. To have
Absolutely.
a weary doctor asking you how you were, who'd only had 2 hours sleep. Fantastic. Before you go, Jackie, I've got this dad joke I promised you. We will have more later, but this one from James this morning. I know that Albert Einstein was a genius, but I think his brother Frank was a monster. Frank Einstein?
I can't even imagine.
No. Okay, fair enough. Jackie, I will see you tomorrow evening at 7:30 for the webinar. I'm glad you had a chance to meet Andy here, who will take a look at the news with us. If you're going to stick
Jackie.
around. So, Jackie, take care and bye for now. Ciao, ciao. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
All right. There goes Jackie then. And on comes the doc. It feels like ages, Doc. And I think you were in the UK last time we spoke.
Yeah, that's right. We were in the UK with Connie and Hank and mind you, I got that right way around then. Connie and Hank and Leona, who was I can't remember if she was up or not at the time, but there we are.
Conk and Honey, yeah, that's right. And I think they enjoyed their trip of the UK. Came back and Hank triumphant as the champion of champion of championing the best place to live in Portugal with the north of Portugal. And I think. Were you his secret weapon, perhaps? Were you briefing and coaching him ahead of that bout with Jerry?
Funnily enough, no. And I have to say sorry to Jerry for not turning up for that, but I didn't feel 100%. Very sad that Porto won because, of course, we all know that central Portugal is the best place to live, but there were too many of us enjoying central Portugal to actually be on the webinar to vote for it.
Okay.
As all these sad Porto people were sat in their apartments voting because they had nothing better to do.
Oh, the obviously runs with this. Clearly, there are some people after me because I wouldn't accept their postal vote. Would you believe it? But I mean, something weird goes on with Americans and voting, doesn't it? You only have to look into recent history to see that.
Yeah, you need to buy one of those great voting machines. You can control the outcome from remotely.
Doc, allegedly. How do you win an election? You buy the voting system.
Of course.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Now I understand.
That's been done for 200 years or more, you know.
Say it isn't so. The scales are falling from my eyes. So you're back in beloved Leiria then. What's going on there? I mean, Jackie was talking about Bairro Alto partying hard. This is happening all over the country, isn't it? Portuguese people party like no other country.
Yeah, Leiria, we're in the middle of our medieval festival at the weekend. You know, families are just coming out with young kids at 10 o'clock at night, 10:30. Crowds in the centre. The market is twice as big as last year. And yeah, it's just great to see young kids and very ancient people still crowding the place at that time of night. It's lovely.
Yes, it is lovely. And Jackie, I don't think I was familiar with Leiria, but it is a great city, isn't it? With a lot to commend it. You know, you can walk by the river, you can go up to the castle. It's something that I think basically what you're saying is something for everybody, isn't there? All of life is in Leiria. The Praça there is a great place to have a drink.
Gorgeous. Yeah, all three. Yeah,
all three. Great town. So Jackie, definitely. I'm sure you can get probably the best way to get there is via coach, isn't it? Go to Saturday.
It is.
Get a coach.
It is, yeah.
You're in Leiria in probably hour and a half, I suspect.
Between an hour and 45 and 2 hours 10, depending on the time of day and the route.
Doc's done that. Okay. Let's say a few hellos to everybody before we get underway. Find out how you're doing and anything that's caught your eye in the news. Doc, bon dia from Pete, who was asking you, how's it hanging? Muito calor in Orca. I thought this was a news story about the continued difficulty some sailors are facing with orca whales headbutting the boats, but this is where he lives. Orca, 36 degrees, hoje mais 40 today. A próxima semana. Oh, next week. 40
next week, yeah.
Yeah, incredible. 45 in Athens as well for Coach Turner. Now, while we're talking about Coach Turner, let me just play a couple of video clips from him, Doc. This is amazing. When you have a hobby and you're able to go to, I suppose, the genesis or the seminal places of your hobby, it's a really special thing. And this is exactly what Coach Turner's done. He is in Athens. He's an athlete, and he went to the stadium, which it wouldn't be called that. That's probably the wrong word to describe it. But this is the home of the first modern Olympics. He's there. Got this footage of him giving that backstory, and then him running around a track. So let's have a look at this.
Bon dia, Gumpers, and I'm really super excited today because I'm in a rather special place for someone who loves running, sprinting, athletics. So take a look. Yeah, it's the Panathinaike Stadium in Athens, the venue for the first modern Olympics and the only all-marble stadium in the world, apparently. You learn something new every day. Every day's a school day. But it's a rather special place. I'm going to have a run on the track in a minute, just because that's a thing to do. There's lots of people jogging round. Not lots, there's a few people jogging round. But it's a really cool place to be for a nut like me, an athletics nut like me. Hope you have a wonderful day. This is an inspiration from me. Can you find an inspiration to get out there and be active, keep healthy, and then balance it up with some very nice wine I had last night, which luckily I stopped before it hurts this morning. Take care, guys. See you soon.
Figure out the point to stop where it doesn't hurt in the morning, Doc. Is there a medical approach to that?
Not really. I had a enforced stop last night when I spilled the last of my wine. Which was very annoying, but there we are.
I am so sorry to hear that. Right. So Nike seemed to be in there very early. They have some amazing marketing people. So 2,000 years ago, or whenever it was, the Panathinaike Stadium, they were in there by the sound of it. And here he is running around said stadium. Here we go.
What a fine specimen, eh? Nike, of course,
is 64. He's 64 years of age, maybe even 65 now. So he's in good shape, isn't he?
Yeah. Nike, of course, is the Greek for victory. So hence why they were the word was around long before the brand.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my mistake. Okay. I mean, he's right though, isn't he? And this sounds like very old-fashioned doctorly advice. Get a hobby. And I imagine in the 1950s or 60s, when people who are feeling under the weather or had used that quaint phrase back in those days, you're a bit bad with your nerves at the moment. I'm sure a hobby was suggested, wasn't it? To lift the spirits and give some people a passion in life. And that's what he's talking about there, isn't he? And he's talking about balance as well. You know, don't drink so much that you can't run around a track like that, but enjoy your wine and enjoy a hobby. And how fantastic to go to at the heart of it, if you like, for a man interested in athletics. There he is in what represents ancient Greece, and he's running around that same track. What would you do, Doc? Well, I mean, may I pry into what your hobbies are and what floats your boat and lights?
Oh, sure. Of course, I'm a little restricted these days. I mean, my hobbies included skiing, sailing, and hill walking, and none of which are particularly possible since my stroke. But my hobbies these days, apart from drinking, are coding. Yeah, I could go from my hobby to my drinking without drawing breath. No. Coding, film, meeting people, driving, traveling, reading.
Okay, and apparently you're great in a tractor bucket as well. What's that? What happened? What's that about?
Well, Pete thought I'd make a good decoration for the back of his tractor, so I sat in it and we went round his farmstead when we visited. Yeah.
Okay, very good. And Leiria also, he says, is famous for the setting of The Crimes of Arthur Amaro. Lots of sexy priest action. Is that true?
Yeah, indeed. I only know the story tangentially, but yes, probably ought to research that and come back to you with that. But yes, it is true. I have heard this.
Right. Okay.
I suspect he was only one of a number who happened to get caught. Well, judging by recent news stories, but a bit like the 3 police officers in Porto who recently got caught for arrested for drug trafficking, malfeasance, and corruption. And a great phrase in the Portuguese press was, and those from who know what this means, a certain age from England, in the English press this would mean something specific, but it said they were caught in flagrante delicto.
Oh, I haven't heard that for ages. Is that these cops that were doing that as well as all these?
Yeah, well, I think in flagrante delicto simply meant they were caught red-handed with the evidence, probably, yes. Drugs in their pockets or money in their wallets or something.
Yes, and were heard hastily saying, "We can explain." Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
tell us that down the nick. Oh, you know where that is. Okay, let's catch up with a few comments before we go to more of that news coverage. Clearly, you've been keeping an eye on the news. Smash that like button. Nunu is incredible, says T Duck. Nunu hates selling insurance, but he loves helping people find the insurance that's right for them, so we can be in his company tomorrow evening, even apparently if it's with someone else, a different company. So very fair. If you don't know Nunu, come and hang out with us tomorrow night from 7:30 on the Portugal Calling Expats Portugal webinar. I saw a YouTube video about the fishing license. It didn't show up a namespace just for ID, NIF and phone. If you insert those, you should be fine. Now, I must have missed a bit here. It is ask anything about Portugal.
So I understand Pete's having a problem getting his fishing license through the multi-bank machine, and he needs to put letters in, not because it needs his name, but because as you're probably aware, the Brexit identity, the pre-Brexit identity cards have got letters in the ID number, and you can't punch in letters on certainly on most multi-banker machines. There may be some posh ones in banks that have got full-size keyboards that are used for all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you have to go to the post office or the town hall or something.
The things you learn here, like Coach Turner said, every day's a school day. We're trying to solve the mystery, then it would appear, of Pete's fishing license. He's fishing for answers this morning, and hopefully he'll get more than just answers here, and he'll be able to get a nibble down at the local lake, which is presumably where he is fishing.
The river beach at oh no, he's a bit further north now. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, right. Yeah, so river beach or a big lake probably. Let us know more, Pete. If you've never need anything other than the address, not even in Portugal, to get a NIF from Mini Finances before, it may have changed. So I think Suze has got a NIF inquiry.
She was asked for her visa,
really?
Which is ridiculous because for some visas you need a NIF before you apply for the visa. I think this finances office has got it wrong, because even if you're an overseas property owner owning property in Portugal, you can get a NIF, as long as you've got a local financial representative. I think they're talking rubbish, actually.
Okay, and that does happen from time to time, doesn't it? Bon dia Gumpers, nice that the Canadian heart flag is next to Finland on your clothesline for me anyway. So close and yet so far. So this is Sue's. Thank you for keeping an eye on the chat this morning. It's been very busy. So thank you for picking up on those this morning. Sue's NIF/visa challenge and Pete's fishing challenge. We will do our best on Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday, and of course our news review today. We used to like talking to Edmundo, taxi man Edmundo down there in the Algarve, see what was going on as he was waiting outside the airport or wherever he was waiting to do a transfer. Been a bit busy, which is good. I've been away from your comments on the program. Looking forward to come to see you more often. Edmundo, if you ever get a dull moment waiting for someone at the airport, call in. We love the atmosphere at Faro Airport. And if you can convey that to us, that would be fantastic. So, yeah, Pete, talking to Antonio F about this, I have a question for you. How do I do letters on the multi-link machine having issues with my fishing license? So you're right, Doc. It's not alphanumeric,
Of course,
is it?
I'm right. Yeah.
Of course I'm right, he says. Weather report from Sue's. Clear skies here, currently 20. High to be 32 today. Wow, in central. And Bayrandre is with us. Can't believe I've been in nearly a month, missing my beautiful Bayrand. I hope you're having a great time over there, Bayrandre. You've changed your name slightly. Multi-bank always makes me think of The Fifth Element. I don't understand that reference. Others will. I love to make jingles. Well, here's a collaboration opportunity. I love to make jingles, but I have no musical talent. Can we put somebody together? Your voiceovers are amazing. Your production's amazing, T-Duck. I think your musical talent's okay and good enough for jingles. But if there's somebody else who'd like to work with T-Duck on that, supplying the music, how about that? Basaka and the Palace are on the points of interest on the Gumper map. Don't forget you can find the Gumper map via goodmorningportugal.com. I don't know. Pete does come up with a pretty random comment from time to time, doesn't he? Have you tried multiple genital piercings? What that has to do? Oh, is that to make a jingle? I suppose that's one way of making
probably.
Any doctorly advice? You might have. I guess you've seen a weeping piercing in your time.
Oh God, I've seen lots and lots of piercings which should make your eyes water. Certainly would have made the eyes water the person who had them. Yeah, I don't recommend them. I'm not a prude, and I'm not known for being conservative. But honestly, some of the results of those I've seen, you really would not want that.
Splash some aloe vera, some tea tree, or maybe get some antibiotics from the
and
doc.
get some binding twine.
Oh. Let's take it to a new level. I went to Finances. You can get that in Central Portugal. Maybe Pete's talking from personal experience. I went to Finances to get a NIF yesterday. This is the question, isn't it? Seems that I'll need a visitor visa before that can happen. Need to get on that soon. So unless something's changed, you didn't need all that malarkey, did you? The government are happy to give you a NIF number so you can start paying some tax.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Try another. This is a good advice. Thanks, everybody. Hive mind this morning. Try another Finances. You should be able to get a NIF from any of them, Suze. And say NIF, not NIF number, because that is an unnecessary circumlocutive verbose.
Indeed. The N stands for number.
It is. It's like saying ATM machine, isn't it? You don't need
Indeed.
Yes, there you go. There's a special word for that, I'm sure, as well. An unnecessary circumlocution. Okay, thanks. And we'll go back to the office. It was an appointment only when I got there yesterday. Well, I think the advice is to try different Finances. But NIF needed even for overseas property owners, along with...
That was me, yeah.
Cheers, Andy, for that. I was getting me Andy's confused there. So this is the Hump Day business, the Feliz Dia de Corcunda. I'm going to be suggesting that people be very careful before they wish fellow Portuguese people a happy Hump Day. Choose your words carefully, because you could make new friends or enemies for life if you're not using the correct word there. Oh, here we go. Antonio's helping. And Filomena's here. Bon dia todos. I've got a poster for your upcoming trip to Covilhã I'd like to share as well, Filomena. After we found out from Antonio F. that the bossa is the camel hump. Is that why bossa nova is? It's just like a humpy dance, while corcunda is a person's hump. What is a person's hump? No special meaning.
That's in the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, I see. That kind of hump day. Right. Okay. Let's have a quick look at Philomena's new trip. Have you been on any of Philomena's trips for Brits and other nationalities, Andy?
I haven't. I tend to do my own, but I mean, yeah, there's questions of accessibility and timing and all sorts. So.
Okay, fair enough. Well, this may appeal to you. It's a one-day trip to the Serra da Estrela, the Tower, Covilhã, and the Parsnip Festival. Come on, Doc! You can't turn down an offer to go to the Parsnip Festival.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that it might even be worth it, even if I can't get onto the bus with the wheelchair. But yeah, you see, that's the issue. Can I take my chair on the bus?
Yes. Okay.
And if I can't, then the majority of the cost is wasted.
All right, maybe Philomena can help with that. Visiting the highest spot in continental Portugal.
Yeah.
Where you see there's an accessibility issue there, possibly.
Definitely the Parsnip Festival would do it for me every time, but
so to speak. Right. Visiting the highest spot in continental Portugal, where you can find the best cheese and other excellent local products. Lunches at the highest restaurant in Portugal. This sounds great. In the mountain at an altitude of just under 2,000 meters, and you'll be visiting the Parsnip Festival in Covilhã. Price includes trip by bus leaving from Miranda de Corvo, near the GNR office, lunch at the restaurant, the highest restaurant in Portugal, and a visit to the Parsnip Festival. And you need to book that by the 31st of August. Payment at the time of registration of a mere €60. Nice one, Philomena. 966-076-828 for that. That sounds fantastic. And hopefully you will be able to possibly cater for Andy's needs. I'm trying to find a photograph now. Accessibility. We were going to do more on this, weren't we? To do a little bit of maybe a registry or some sort of cataloguing of how accessible Portugal is and the best places to go. Any more ideas on that, Doc?
No, the problem is, you see, that unlike you, I've been in retirement mode since I got here, so I'm quite happy to take about 3 months to do what anyone else would do in 3 days. That's the problem.
Yes. So these good ideas, sometimes they fall by the wayside.
I need constant prompting, and yeah, I will get stuff done, but I just need prompting.
that said, it is a good idea, isn't it? It's a good project.
It absolutely is. I mean, there's a database in the UK. I think it's a curated map in the UK of accessible places, and there are attempts at worldwide ones, but they suffer from being worldwide. I think it would be a great project, and I'd happy to consult on it. Maybe not to be the prime mover.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Or the tester, even if you get expenses paid trips to test accessibility around Portugal,
of course,
I'm sure you'll be there to comment on it. And you can make videos, can't you? It doesn't have to be too onerous. You can make on the spot videos.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a wonderful photograph. San Martinho de Porto has an accessible beach. You might be glad to hear. There is one of those blue runways, which if you keep going, you do come to quite a sudden stop as the wheels engage with the sand at the end. But it is fairly easy to get down to the beach at San Martinho de Porto. And I was really glad to see that. So anybody, any blue badgers out there who want to park on the beach or near the beach and then trundle down a laid on blue runway, you can do that at San Martinho de Porto. We're anticipating the arrival of Bobby O'Reilly in just a moment. And
let's have a look at a bit more news. There are a couple of other things. One, there was where you covered with the impact of the Pope's visit, the exodus from Lisbon, but also, of course, the border restrictions, and people have been turned away. 15 people at the land border. Over the weekend, and 2 people at the airport. And what else was I going to? Oh, the other thing I wanted two other things I wanted to cover. One was the state of the government. So so the president had one of his irregular president's councils, where he brings all the political leaders together to bang their heads together. And this time, unusually, it did not have a communique at the end of it. And it broke up in a state of almost of disarray, I understand, because the Prime Minister had an urgent plane to catch to New Zealand. He couldn't get any further away, trying to escape
Funnily
the
enough,
chaos.
sorry, I've got to go to New Zealand now. That's the best way, isn't it? Leave a meeting ever.
Yeah, it was for the Women's World Cup going on down there, and then finally some good news economically.
Hold that news, because I want Bobby to be on the screen to receive the good economic.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's give him a nice big round of applause. And let's bring him onto the screen to discuss this morning.
Hi, Bobby.
Morning.
How are you, mate?
Doc? All good?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Should have yourself.
Good. Not too bad. Actually,
good.
Excellent to see you. Excellent to see you, Bobby. If you've got a lot of busy schedule of meetings today, how about trying? Sorry, I've got to fly to New Zealand now to go and watch the women play in the World Cup. I mean, that's an impressive way to end a meeting, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, but you have to be Prime Minister to get away with it.
Absolutely.
Has he got away with it, though? That's the thing. Has he got away with it, Doc?
Oh yeah, of course he has. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got a majority, so of course he'll get away with what he wants to get away with until he can't get away with it any longer.
Yep.
And the other thing, so the other good news economically, and Bobby will probably agree with this, with my characterisation of it as good news. Maybe not as any good news short of the system being replaced. But the good news is that Portugal had an upgrading again of its rating to A from treble B plus. So it's a safe place for overseas investors and other central banks to stash their money, which should mean that the cost of borrowing goes down.
How about that? What do you make of that, Bobby?
Should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is interesting, isn't it? The governments pretend, don't they, that they have some influence over the banks. And I've seen this in the UK. So it's really terrible, cost of living crisis. Okay, the Chancellor's going to ask the banks to be kind to people, and then it's just like, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what do you make of that, Bob?
It's not passed down. It's never really passed down. Really, no. It's about looking at the European Central Bank rate and the spread rate over the Euribor and the LIBOR. So basically, what it means is that the Portuguese can probably sell bonds at a higher rating, as in that the government can borrow money at a cheaper rate considering its rating. But the layman on the street who's going into the bank is still going off of whatever the Central European Bank spread is.
Yeah, of course. But of course, the thing is that if the government can raise money on the bond market, it means they have less need to turn to either taxation, or they don't have to be as looking at such austere measures in terms of public expenditures. So,
Yeah, but I think this government will always be looking at public expenditure as their way to try and stay in power with their social mandate as such, and that the money that they will be borrowing is probably, and rightly so, for a lot of the social programs that they need. Yeah. But the reason that they're still in power at this stage is because of the mess that we're in prior, in the middle of the year, or say around March or April, when the president was about to dissolve it and decided not to because it wasn't fit to be dissolved even. So
that's quite the mess.
You're too ill to turn the life machine off. Yeah, life support machine.
So had it been in good order, they wouldn't have been in power.
That is fascinating. That is absolutely fascinating. Now, in many ways, these two gentlemen on the screen shouldn't get on with each other. We've got the Marxist and the magnet for international investment from all over the world. And I'm wondering, Bobby, why it is the doc has such a keen interest in what goes on with the lending rates. Is this an anticipation of bringing the system down, Andy? Are you keeping an eye on it from that point of view?
No, so the point that Bobby makes is it was very well made. In fact, the credit rating of Portugal won't affect the bank rate. But it will affect the bond market, and therefore the government can afford social programs. It makes those social programs more affordable without resorting to higher taxation. or it means they can still tax people highly and raise more money on the bond market. And
oh dear, he got cut off there, didn't he? I don't know why. He was being critical of the government, maybe there.
But so that's a good thing. Yeah, I got that. So it's that's a good thing from the point of view of social programs. From the point of view of a revolutionary who'd like to see the system crumble and fail and be replaced, it's probably not so good, because it means that the general population will have slightly more faith in the government, although it's ill-deserved from both our perspectives, I suspect.
Yeah. Well, I love it. You're united in your skepticism of the government from two entirely different points of view. Fantastic analysis, Andy. Very good. But not many, I think not many sort of politicos take such a keen interest in economic matters, do they? Unless they really
should.
Well, of course they should.
They should. Politics is economics. It's the economy stupid. It was a famous phrase, and a very oh God. Sorry, my word finding. Anyway, it was right. It is politics.
Yeah. It's
the economy.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go, you political folks who've just focused too much on the ideology. Get some economics learned, according to the doc this morning. And in other news, then, what's caught your eye this morning, Bobby?
Oh God, not enough. That's caught my eye this morning. I had a bit of a heavy.
You see, there's a lot of that about that. You've got the Coach Turner, as well as running around the ancient racetrack, has been boozing. Andy would have been boozing, but he knocked his wine over. And you had quite a nice evening yourself last night. I mean, the Pope visiting Lisbon must be affecting you. Is that having a knock-on effect?
Not really, because we're on the south side of it. But like, I got the traffic. I would just say that all the sort of plans that the municipality have for the traffic flows and so on over the Pope's visit. Yeah. So I think, like what you said earlier, there's going to be an exodus out of Lisbon. I think the Algarve is about to fill up, and the South Bank is about to fill up, because you won't be able to move anywhere, So that itself, I think it's a great thing that the Pope is coming, by the way, but just because it puts Portugal on the map in a huge international way as well.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fantastic for Portugal. I saw something actually the other day that showed as well that Portugal now is the most, what was it? It's the cheapest place to visit and the most popular place to visit. And Lisbon been the number one as well in all of Europe. So there was up to basically compared all the different capital cities and all the different cost of travel, the cost of accommodation, the cost of food, etc. And Lisbon came up as number one in all of Europe.
Can you imagine being in the Portuguese office for receiving awards? They must get so fed up. Every day is like best place to retire, cheapest place to visit. They must be the most jaded department. I mean, and that takes something to be jaded in Portuguese local government, doesn't it? But they must be the most jaded of, another award. Where are we going to put it? We're going to have to get a warehouse. For all these awards here. But
it is. I think, I don't know if anyone has gone back to London, for example, for a weekend and bought a coffee.
Can't afford it.
Well, we weren't in London, but it was bad enough being in Birmingham a few weeks ago and buying coffees and beers and stuff. Even with Wetherspoons, it was expensive,
That's saying something. For those who don't know, Wetherspoons is the equivalent of Walmart in the pub business, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go, Americans. Now you know. And you basically you should be able to buy a 3-course meal, get completely drunk, and have a taxi called for you for around £5. That was the deal back in the day, wasn't it?
Something like, yeah.
But and a dessert in there as well. But no, not anymore. Thanks to a number of forces, which you probably don't need to talk about this morning. Back to this fishing license thing. I don't know if last time we saw you, Bobby, you were quayside, weren't you, at Troya?
Yeah.
Do you fish as well?
Yeah, well, I used to a long time ago, but mainly sea fishing. When I went to a different country, every time I would try and get a bit of sea fishing and sort of taste the fishing culture, which was very different in every country. It was always a great experience because I remember I was in the Gulf of Mexico and I was fishing, and there was a big tortoise the size of a Volkswagen Beetle just beside the boat, if you like. It was absolutely amazing to see it, yeah. And then we were going up into what were the mangroves, if you like, back into the sort of area in around our in Miami, and there was like sharks in, I would say, 6 inches of water, big brown sharks in the water, and you could see them whole bodies, and they're just going around. It was really weird. So yeah, I've tried to sort of go fishing in different countries. I haven't done it now in a long time, but I used to love doing it.
I feel a fishing trip, a Gumpers Good Morning Portugal fishing trip. That'll be pretty good. We've got to get a boat which we can get a wheelchair onto, right, Doc?
Yeah, as long as I can look after the beer, that'll be fine.
It's a deal. It's a deal. That's
I didn't say pay for it. I said look after it.
Oh, okay. Owen and I tried to publish our YouTube video on getting the fishing license. Okay, so it can be done. You can get it from the multi-banco, but we kept getting interrupted at the multi-banco. This is weird. Nobody gets interrupted at a multi-banco. Not sure what's happening with some of our guests. Oh, hello again. But normally, if you're at the front of, and you can attest to this, I'm sure, Bobby and the Doc, if you're at the front of the multi-banco queue, it is yours for as long as you want it, right? And Portuguese people are quite happy with that.
I hate that.
Why, Bobby? What's the problem with that?
Yes.
What, grandma paying 27 bills in front of you?
Yeah.
Bobby, you just need a wheelchair.
No. Do it at home. I don't understand why people don't pay their bills at home on internet banking. It's easier. It's 10 times easier.
Yeah, they haven't got an internet connection, Bobby. They haven't got an internet connection, or they don't know how to use the internet.
Go to McDonald's with your phone. You know what I mean? Or Starbucks.
Life hacks all the way here on the Good Morning Portugal show. It's probably to make friends with people in the queue, Bobby. Not you, by the sound of it.
It's like the village pump.
I don't get it. I think if you're going to pay 1 or 2 bills, fair enough. But when you see, and you've got, say, one machine, and you've got 4 or 5 people queuing up with like Santa's sack of letters waiting to do the bill.
Filing cabinet. Yeah,
it's absolutely, oh God.
Well, you think Grandma's got her shopping trolley full of cat food and sherry, when in fact she's got all of her filing system for all the bills she's about to pay. Do your shopping first, come back later.
But I remember when it was me, when I had to sort of go and do it before I actually discovered how to do it online, was I would feel terrible guilty. When someone stood behind me, I would say, oh God, I'm holding them up type thing, you know? Yeah. And I'd just finish what I was doing and get out of their way. And then they would come up with their 5 letters or their 5 bills and start doing it, you know? But you can feel them looking over your shoulder like, you're nearly finished, you know? So.
Is that what you feel? Because I get that in Portugal, people are like, you know, if you're in front of the queue, whether it's Finanza, CEF, IMT, when it's your turn, it's your turn. And everyone else has to calm down, be quiet, and just stay in lane, as it were. They maybe they were looking over your shoulder to see if they could help you.
And not just when it's your turn, but it's only your turn when the person who's supposed to be serving you has stopped chatting to a colleague about what she did last night.
Exactly. So
which is okay, you know.
After all this time, Bobby, you're still not comfortable with that. You'd rather stay at home and not get in somebody's way at the front of the queue.
No, yeah. Actually, I don't know. The other thing I think that I suppose give you an idea. They also have this great thing where they stop in the middle of a path and start having a conversation, 3 or 4 people.
Oh yeah,
people to pass
on the zebra crossing. Just
stop and don't even consider that I might be in somebody's way or is whatever it is. This is another one of my peeves when people do. So I now just bump into them on purpose. Oh, sorry.
We thought you were such a nice bloke as well.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. The buggy, you know, with the buggy with the wheels, you know, she used to sort of give them a little ram. Oh, sorry, excuse me, whatever, you know, just because it is. I think it's very inconsiderate of people just that when they stop to have a chat. Oh, how are you? Get out of the way, you know.
Okay, all right. Well, watch out for the O'Reillys. If you're in Lisbon, do not stop for a chat.
Yeah. No, stop. Go for a coffee. Go sit down or move over out of the way.
But get out of the way.
A roadblock. Yeah. You see it as well in the cars.
I would expect that from Jackie from Boston and New York. But I mean, you're from rural Ireland. Don't people stop in the road in rural Ireland?
You know.
Yeah, I don't like it there either, though.
Yeah.
You
thought you got away from it, and here they are doing it in Lisbon as well.
Or in Lisbon, you have the guy delivering his I don't know, his bread or his whatever it is, and he just parks his truck and he puts on those magic parking lights that basically allow you to stay there for as long as you like once the flashing lights are on. And he goes into the shop he'll have a chat, he'll have a coffee while the car's back up behind him, and and it's not like it's not very uncommon. It happens everywhere.
Oh, come on, Bobby.
Morning delivery, yeah.
Take a chill pill. It's all pretty accessible, Doc, up there in Central
Choose
Portugal.
the underground's the way to go.
Especially the ski resort, which you'd love. You can stay over here. I've been on trips to Philomena with amazing inclusion for disability. So there you go. Suze, thank you for that pick. We'll feature that. We've got dad jokes to come. We've got the Portugal quiz as well. And we've got a public apology here. I think, Bobby, you did see this. Bobby, just a quick apology.
Oh, so funny.
I was streaking behind Carl's show yesterday. I thought she said that I was trying to shave. I was trying to save his show from the noise of a leak. This sounds like such a load of nonsense, doesn't it? This is nearly as good as I've got to fly to New Zealand now. I was trying to save his show from the noise of a leaf blower and massively miscalculated. That sounds like a Tory MP apology, doesn't it? When they have to resign.
Yeah, I'm very sorry I was naked, but I was trying to stop this leaf blower.
The face of your guest was fantastic.
Yes.
His reaction.
Yes. Well, yeah, Bruce hasn't seen a naked lady for some time, and I'm not speaking out of turn saying that. It's not his cup of tea. So it would have been quite the surprise. Okay, yes, Carl. Apology. No, do we accept that apology, Bobby?
Oh, absolutely, no problem at all. I thought it was fantastic.
Doc,
Should have.
Doc, do we accept the apology?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Just do it again. Yes, Carl, that's been my experience in Multi-Banco as well. And the folks in the queue just talk amongst themselves. There you go. The culture is not in a hurry and as a priority for social interaction. Yeah, Bobby.
Let's go down the pub. Let's go down to the ATM machine for a chat. Yeah.
Yes, meet you at the ATM tonight. It's much cheaper than going to the pub.
Or do you know what's really bad? You're after waiting in the queue and then you get to the top and you see there's no cash. You know the way you have to get cash?
Yeah,
there's no cash. Take out your card and just after 20 minutes or whatever, wait.
Oh yeah, they should have a system like in the Lisbon car parks that tells you from
the red green light.
Yes, there's no cash in here. You don't have to queue up for 10 minutes to find that out. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So I think João de Nort is at heart a little bit of a New Yorker as well. Look, nobody has an issue with social interaction. It's just the location selection. Come on, people. With this
location.
Absolutely.
There you go.
That's why they advertise on those machines, by the way. You only put in your card and you get the advert for like 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
That you do something, It's because it's a great place to advertise. They're in the toilets. So people have to go, So.
Such brilliant insights into Portuguese culture this morning. Thank you, gentlemen, very much indeed. Okay, another one for you. Look, we're not in Kansas anymore. This has really split the audience this morning. Some very happy to pull up a chair and sit there. Others want to get on with it. Come on. Time is money. Bring a flask. Okay. Here we go. Let's have a look at the Learn About Portugal quiz for today. Gents, I wonder if you want to take part in this morning. We've been going for about a month now with the Learn About Portugal quiz, and today's suggestion question is very helpful. So the Learn About Portugal quiz today for Wednesday, the 26th of July, with thanks today to expats pal Vitor Costa, who says, quick tip, and I don't know if you struggled with this when you first arrived. When ordering a drink, you'll probably usually be asked if you want it fresco or natural. I've noticed some people think it means sparkling or normal, still water. Others, if it's tap water or bottled, asks the Portugal Door founder. But what does fresco or natural mean? Is it cold or room temperature? Is it fresh and organic? Is it fresco or natural? Is the trade name of a drink made by Pedras. Outside in nature, that would be another way of looking at fresco or natural, possibly, as opposed to drinking inside the cafe. Or is it because you might be new to the idea of naturism? And just in case you are new to the idea of naturism, I found a fantastic video about naked, nude, naturist beaches here on YouTube, which is now a part of this quiz. That'll get people answering the question, I think.
I thought it was a video of Louisa streaking behind the...
that is also available as a short on our YouTube channel. This time next year we'll be rich. Right, so what do you get thrown by this? Fresco or natural?
No, it's easy.
Go on.
Cold or room temperature.
And you, Bobby? You agree with that?
Cold or room temperature, yeah.
Okay, so pop over then to learnaboutportugal.com if you want to take a guess at what that is, and have a look at that mucky video that I put up there as well. Right. Any other things that have attracted your attention in the news, fellas? We've dealt with the Pope's visit. I've got a feeling that people are just going to disappear out of Lisbon. It's going to be really quiet there, which wouldn't be a bad result. This on a more serious note, this community, have you heard about this? The Pineal Kingdom, that's causing a bit of controversy for foreigners coming to Portugal. What do you make of that?
I don't know who they are. I just saw that there was some kind of controversy over a child died or something there, and
sadly so, yeah. So to bring you
No,
up to
I didn't see that.
well, the first I saw of it was a Portuguese, the same magazine actually that Jackie was in, called Vision, where Jackie Avocado was featured from Expats Portugal, talking about coming over to Portugal as an American. I was walking through Continent the other day, and I saw a face on the cover. It's the chap who's a founder of this Kingdom of the Pineal, which is an interesting name, and it would appear to be a bit of a cult, a sect. And whilst in some ways I'm interested and fascinated by their idea to start up an independent kingdom in central Portugal, they, I think, are making it bad for the rest of us foreigners, because if you delve into it in social media and you look at Twitter, for example, it's like, what on earth is going on here? What are these foreigners up to in the middle of central Portugal, starting a kingdom? And sadly, that this is what happened. A child was born and died within the kingdom there, and I think they dealt with all of the the disposal of the body, etc., in-house, as it were. And it's obviously come to the attention of the local police and social services. Now, that aside, this idea of coming and setting up a separate kingdom, Doc, you might speak to the sort of utopian nature of this. Is it a good idea to reject society, but then go and start another one, which seems to have a load of rules of its own, and seems to be like just another version of society, but with different rules? Has it occurred to you to start your own cult or sect in central Portugal?
I think when I was a lot younger, I was very attracted to the idea of living on a hippie commune that was doing everything organically, and building earth ships and all sorts of things, and being as off-grid and independent of society as possible. And of course, Portugal hasn't been without that sort of movement in the Alentejo after the revolution. There's a lot of that kind of thing that went on, and I still have sympathy with the motivation of those who do that. But it is very much a utopian dream. If we're going to change society, we have to change the whole of society. You can't just cut yourself off from society and think that you're making a difference. If you do that in the hope that you're not going to cause any damage to the environment and contribute to global warming, well, you might not. But if all the people who don't want to cause damage to the environment and contribute to global warming go off and cut themselves off, then everyone else will do it, and they're going to end up just as dead as you and me. So that's the long and the short of it. We have to change the whole of society. It's like the monastics, the monks who buggered off into the desert and thought they were doing everything right in the early church. They didn't do anything about spreading what they thought was the good news.
Well said. Okay, and I think it reflects kind of badly on the whole grander notion of foreigners not being very respectful of the standing culture.
Yeah.
And what's weird about it is, like, let's reject society. Let's reject all that society stands for. And what do? They start their own passport. They've got their own constitution. They've got their own king. That doesn't sound very original or new.
There are a number of microstates around. Australia has, I think, about 30 of them, self-declared kingdoms. There's one in the middle of the desert in Texas. There's Sealand off in the middle of the Channel on that abandoned Second World War fort. There's loads of them, and of course they have some right to expect recognition in international law, because international law says to be a state, all you have to have is residence, definable borders, and a government. You don't have, if you want to carve a kingdom out of a state where there are no other inhabitants, then international law actually supports you, which is quite bizarre.
There's a planning opportunity right there, Bobby.
And off-grid as well.
Yes.
Well,
now, some would say you're doing this, aren't you? What would have been 50 years ago a crazy idea of building, somewhat off-grid houses with their own sustainable energy would have been laughed at as like some crazy hippie notion, earthships like Andy's talking about. But you're doing it. You're actually building something like this off the grid, getting independent from the electricity supplier just south of the river in Lisbon.
Yeah, I don't think it's to the same extent. I think it's just technology moving on, and it's making use of the technology that's there to sort of help people with what would have been the normal costs of living,
Yeah.
And the comfort. I think I remember once seeing this lady. She was in her 90s. She was being asked, the usual question, which was better then or now when you were young, what was life like then or now? And her answer was very fanatic in the sense that it was like, it's now, of course, now you have washing machines and you have dishwashers, you have cars, you have travel. Everything's much easier than it ever was before. And I think that's the way things are going. And things are getting easier and easier and easier, which also can make us lazier and lazier and lazier. So you also have to keep a mindset of, how would you say, like the things that you probably still need to keep doing for a healthy mind as well as just an easy lifestyle. So
you got to get that balance right.
Yeah, take the iPads off the kids, in other words.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there is something going around at the moment. What is it like? Tough times make tough people, and I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it? When times get soft, people get soft.
Yeah.
But those are maybe inevitable cycles of humanity, and that's just where we are at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, the Roman Empire declined and then fell because people got too soft. And arguably the same is true of other cultures and empires over history.
Portuguese.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point. That we're like, shall we talk about this or shall we not? But the rise of Portugal, all these awards, the love of Portugal, Portuguese people not maybe wanting to do the kinds of work they did years ago. They're moving away from the interior, aren't they? They want comfortable office jobs, not hard labor like their grandparents are doing it. They remember in the Alentejo. So,
but they want cheap food. But they want cheap food,
right?
And so they have to import labor, and this is why you end up with some appalling labor conditions on some Alentejo farms.
Yeah, it's
you look at Brexit. You
Yeah,
ran all the workers. And now you've got huge inflation because they don't want to pick their own fruit.
Absolutely,
So it's the same kind of thing here. So it's like the US as well. It's like I saw it's a very good comedian actually. He was one of my favorite comedians. But he was saying like he was after going to a fancy restaurant and getting a very fancy dinner, and it was colossal price. He says, "Who picked those potatoes? Americans or Mexicans?" So this is where he was coming at. So
Yep. Okay. So the interesting times in Portugal then. You think maybe the Portuguese are getting a bit soft and enjoying life a bit too much?
Well, I think that it's always there. Life is getting easier, I think, for people. It's getting easier. I know like there is a debate about salaries and the social part of it and so on and so forth. But in general, with technology, life is getting easier. And actually, we still have to have that big conversation about the AI and where's that going to bring us all in the next, say, 5 to 10 years as well.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to be looking at a situation where only 20% of the actual population is working, which would be, someone said to me, unless you're sitting in front of, your job is sitting in front of somebody, in 10 years' time, you don't have a job.
Good.
If your job has to, that you have to deal with the public, and you have to deal with someone directly, such as a doctor, a nurse, or a servant of some type, you won't have a job in 10 years. And that's.
But sorry, Bobby, even some doctors' jobs will be are under threat from AI, because if you can get a program to ask you as a patient the right questions, then a good AI program will be able to filter out the important stuff from the crap, and should be able to suggest a list of diagnoses, should be able to print out a list of order of the relevant investigations, and then all you'll need at the end of that is if you need a surgeon. At the moment you need a surgeon, but even that'll be done by robots sometime. So even doctors' jobs are at risk of automation. Lawyers, we've seen lawyers using AI to generate pleadings for the court. Or everything. I don't think there's a job that is not potentially at risk. I mean, given that we're spending billions and trillions of pounds in space and on war, if we weren't doing that, then I suspect the developments that could be applied to this sort of technology could potentially reduce the working week to sort of 15 hours. And if that was split equally across the country, then we would all have a much better life.
What a poignant note to end on, Bobby.
Yeah, no, like there was always talk about bringing it to a stage where basically humans themselves don't need to work, that the robots did. But you actually got a living wage. Everybody got a living wage.
Yeah.
And so
it's in the post. In one way or another, it's in the post. But you know what it's going to mean, Bobby, don't you? It's going to mean more queuing up, because isn't it? It is. Like this is beautifully put by James. The foreigner in a hurry says about the Portuguese user, why don't they just do it at their home computer? The Portuguese multi-banco user says, why don't they just do it at home on their computer?
Their computer.
Yes, Portuguese about the foreigner at multi-banco is what James meant to say there. But whatever happens, if computers are doing this and you're having an interaction with a computer and an AI interface, it's going to be more of that Portuguese queuing, Bobby, I think.
Well, I don't know. I don't like the queuing part, to be honest with myself. So.
We got that gist.
I even hate stopping at traffic lights because, it's wasting my time. It's terrible.
Yes.
I don't. But,
yeah, no, I understand that. Doc, who would be working in all the cafes, restaurants?
Oh, come on! How many times have you seen cafes with vending machines? You'll have vending machines. You'll have robotic kitchens. You already a load of. Hold on. I'm just saying what the potential dystopian reality could be. That everything is done by robot and by vending machines, and what was it? 70% of the non-food retail transactions happened through Amazon a couple of years ago. The reality is that, and they employ very few humans now in their warehouses. The reality is we're approaching this. I'm not saying we're approaching it rapidly, but we are moving in that direction. There is nothing halting the move in that direction.
I can't help but have these. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, yesterday I went to Leiria Merlin to pay for and buying something. I was paying for it, and I went to the till, and the lady there brought me to the robot, to the machine, to pay. So she's basically there. What they're doing is they're actually doing themselves out of jobs by bringing them to the counters of. So you won't need us anymore here. Use this machine, and then
training you as a customer.
You don't need her anymore.
We are being conditioned, aren't we? We're definitely being
conditioned. The banks did the same. Sure, during COVID, the banks had everyone banking online, and then they closed down branches all over the world because of revenue costs.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there are two visions. I guess we can smash all the machines up and start relating to each other properly and humanly, or Bobby will be in a queue in 10 years' time, and a robot will come up beside him and say, "Human, I sense you have some agitation in you. May I give you a massage? You have another 20 minutes to wait in this queue." We don't want that, do we? We don't want that. Let's lighten the mood. Well, let's go to each of you for a last word on the news, on Portugal, on AI. You first, Doc.
Yeah, well, actually, what the robot will be doing for Bobby is they'll be coming up to him and saying, "Look, I'll retain your place in the queue. You can go and bugger off and have a drink, and I'll text you when there's 2 minutes to go, and you come back, and I'll take the next person's place."
Boom. Good. There we go. That's technology in the right place. Bobby, what do you reckon?
I already have somebody doing that.
Speaks the multi-millionaire.
Okay, here we go. Last 3 dad jokes then. 3 things to share with you. They would be dad jokes to send you off on your way. Have a great day, everybody. Reciprocating a fist bump is behavior known as a quid pro quo. Along the theme of Englishmen, Irishmen, and X walk into a bar, look, a snake walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Oh my God, how did you do that?" And look, a doctor one. Excellent. Doctor, I was bitten by a wolf. Where? No, just a normal one. Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good.
You can use those, gentlemen. Great to see you. Have an excellent day. Bye for now. You've been brilliant. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Yeah, see you, everybody. See you all then. Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.